Hello Internet, here's a song. I starred in every high school play, blew every drama teacher away, graduated first in my class at Juilliard, took every acting workshop I could, and I dreamed of Hollywood, while I read my Uta Hagen and studied the Bard. Hit the boards and paid my dues, and got phenomenal rave reviews. I knew the world was gonna love me without a doubt. I was sure that Tarantino would be calling me on the phone, and he Leibovitz would shoot me for Rolling Stone. But the years have come and gone, and I'm sorry to say that's not the way that it's all worked out. I'm a tour guide on the Jungle Cruise ride. Skipper Dan is the name, and I'm doing 34 shows every day, and every time it's the same. Look at those hippos, they're wiggling their ears, just like they've done for the last 50 years. Now I'm laughing at my own jokes, but I'm crying inside, and I'm working on the Jungle Cruise ride.
This episode of Q the Podcast is brought to you in part by the Adventureland Coin Ops! That's right, folks, it's 2 promos for the price of 1. The Adventureland Coin Ops. First off, we're going to take you to the Indiana Jones Pinball. That's right, folks, if you're not Monkey, then chances are you are not skilled at the Indiana Jones Pinball, because Monkey hogs that machine all the time, every time he's there. Monkey is the pinball wizard of the Indiana Jones Pinball. If you want to challenge his high score, good luck! Next up on the docket is Shrunken Ned. Folks, if you want a mediocre as hell experience of a fortune teller coin op that's not actually a fortune teller coin op, come to Shrunken Ned's, where Shrunken Ned will print out a weird, cryptic prediction of your, air quotes, future for a way overpriced sum. You can get 2 of these coin op experiences for the price of 3 of these coin op experiences only at Disneyland, California.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DBC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to AWOL Airwaves on the DBC. And now, here's today's river tip from Skipper Bill of the Congo Connie. Bill says, if it rains in the jungle, who cares? That's why they call it a rainforest. Thanks, Bill.
Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers! Tiki here.
And Sandy Claws.
And today's weather is hot and humid. Tomorrow's weather is going to be hot and humid. That's right, folks. We are going to be going on an expedition of the real famous Jungle Cruise, and you don't need a fast pass to join us, folks, because we're not that popular yet. Is that right, Sandy?
I'd say so.
Alright, Sandy, Jungle Cruise nostalgia, hit us in the feels, man. What do you got for this attraction? Give us the love.
Okay, I have some serious nostalgia for this queue, okay? You have no idea, alright? I don't. I really don't. The first and only time I went on Jungle Cruise, I think. Did we go on it at night? Did we do that?
I'm pretty sure we did go on it at night.
Okay, the line. Yeah, we did. The line wasn't that long, so we never got to experience the full queue. But the next day, or maybe it was a couple days later, I went back, and it was very, very hot. And the line for Jungle Cruise, since it was a water ride, it was very long. And I just remember thinking, wow, the line's really, really short, because it goes, you enter the line, you see the boats, you think, oh, it's right there. But then it takes you upstairs, then it takes you around, it takes you back downstairs and around, so they, what did they do, Tiki? I mean, this is your quote.
They calico you, Ezra. They calico you.
They calico. Yeah, that's what they do. So that's the only nostalgia I have for it. Yeah, that's it.
Alright, so this is definitely a very, very big piece of Disneyland history. It was one of the original e-ticket attractions, if not the original e-ticket. Ezra, I believe for the first roughly maybe 30 years of its operation, the queue at Disneyland operated pretty much the same way the queue at Disney World currently operates, which is switchbacks! Lots and lots of switchbacks!
Dun 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 dun.
Ezra, we don't like switchbacks here on Q the Podcast because switchbacks give us basically nothing to talk about.
Exactly.
So, lo and behold, in 1995, they opened the Indiana Jones Adventure. They had to close the Jungle Cruise as well because they had to shorten the length of the river to accommodate for the e-ticket experience. But what we lost in the show scenes on the Jungle, we made up for in a new queue, and this was a 1930s style boathouse queue, 2 stories long, able to accommodate about an hour and a half's wait if need be. And this is the queue we're going to be talking about, Ezra, the post-1995 Indiana Jones Adventure refurbishment.
Well, Colonel Williams... Excuse me. I seem to have something in my throat. Much better. Will Colonel Williamson please report to the Minister General's office? Thank you.
Alright, so Ezra, what do you think of the boathouse? Just kind of like the general aesthetic. Like you walk in, there's the guest login book, there's all kinds of pictures on the wall showing the antics of the various skippers and everything. It definitely sets the mood, right?
That's what I will say. When I walked in that day, that very, very hot day, I noticed that there was a lot to look at, and that made the whole experience of waiting in line a lot easier. It is it's like most Disney queues. It's very stylized, and it's very, very rich and aesthetic, and it's really great because Disney knows how to do it, and they captured that 30s boathouse style very, very well. And it feels vintage. It feels, I guess retro wouldn't be the right word. It feels vintage. It feels old, and it feels real.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like all the old photographs and letters and everything hanging on the walls was pretty much a predecessor to Trader Sam's in terms of Imagineering.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. I never thought of that.
Like that same level of detail, because I feel like Trader Sam's might be one of the most highly detailed spaces in anything that the Imagineers have ever designed.
I'm drawing a blank on what exactly, because I definitely remember that space in Trader Sam's, but I guess the detail is just skipping my mind.
I mean, the walls, Sandy. There's a crap ton of stuff all over the walls on Trader Sam's.
I can vaguely remember it. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. We barely went in there. We had like one drink in there, so it's fine. anyways, so Albert Awol, Sandy. This is the thing that kind of separates the men from the boys when it comes to the Jungle Cruise queue. Albert Awol is more prominent in the Disney World queue, but he also exists in the Disneyland queue, to be sure. The Disney World queue, from what I understand, is all Awol, and in the Disneyland queue, he just kind of pops up here and there. But Sandy, Albert Awol, in my opinion, is one of my favorite theme park characters that Disney's ever made.
Well, you know, I like that they have it formatted like that between the two parks, because it's almost like in Disney World, that's like his headquarters, his base, but Disneyland's kind of like where he goes to every once in a while just to touch base with his communications and his adventures there, you know?
Yeah, sure.
It's almost like his summer home.
Yeah. So what do you think of the conceit of Awol? Just kind of like this sort of like slap jockey, like comedian DJ on the Jungle Cruise. I think he fits it super well. I think he sets the time period ridiculously well.
Yeah, I think so too, and the fact that they have a lot of really great 30s, 20s music playing in there really helps. It gives you something to listen to. I never got to experience the queue before all of this because, you know, it's before my time, but I'd imagine it was very, very drab, especially without all the beautiful decorations they have in there now. But yeah, I think, like you said, I think he captures the mood and the tone very accurately, and represents that time very, very accurately.
And his corny humor definitely gives you a taste of the humor on the actual attraction as well, which is another thing that really sets the tone for the attraction pretty well.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of what's it, Wolfman from the is that what his name was?
From American Graffiti.
Oh, yeah, he was a real guy too.
Yeah, I know.
His name was?
Yeah, Wolfman.
Yeah, Wolfman. Yeah, it was like
Wolfman Jack.
Yeah, Wolfman Jack. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That disc jockey kind of sarcastic slapstick type comedian. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, whereas Wolfman Jack kind of had this retro horror movie aesthetic going on in his show. Albert Awol definitely has the 1930s Adventurers Club feel on his show.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
Very much sets the tone. Like I said, Albert Awol is kind of like the prototypical skipper, if you will. Like, he is the guy that you're going to be hearing the first jokes once you get into that queue, and he is going to be essentially the opening act of the actual attraction.
Yeah, it's another thing Disney does really well, is they set stuff up, like in Roger Rabbit, you have the opening act with the weasels introducing us to what's going to be happening later on in the story. They're gonna go get Roger Rabbit, get in the cab, they're gonna find him and basically kill him with the dip. They explain
also,
that.
Stakes for the dip. It says the stakes for the dip. You see the ingredients, we see what the dip does.
Exactly. It's an entire story in and of itself. It's just gorgeous the way they do it. And this is the game we play. Come on, join in and sing your chorus.
Alright, so Sandy, next we're going to talk about, I don't know how much mileage we're going to get on this subject, but we're going to try, god darn it, the bird on the stairs!
So, you're throwing a exciting fit over this bird. What's this bird all about?
Sandy, it's just a weird, kind of duckbill bird. No one really knows the actual species of it. It might not even be a real species of bird. It might be a combination of different species of birds. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, the bird on the stairs is weird as hell. It's memorable. It's loud. It's the cause of a lot of childhood trauma associated with the Jungle Cruise. A lot of oh my god, I don't want to go up those stairs because that bird will peck at me or something.
What? Yeah, I've always wondered why guess recently I've wondered what that thing on his head was. Some kind
What
of
thing
hat?
on his head?
Like the orange thing on his head.
Does he have a thing on his head?
You never noticed that before? Go look at the image I
No,
sent you.
I've never noticed it. No, hold on. Describe it for me.
Well, look at the thumbnail I sent you.
Yeah, I will. Just describe it for the audience.
It looks like an orange flipper, like one of Donald Duck's feet or something on his head.
Okay, you're uncovering like a major mystery about the bird on the stairs, Ezra. So this is kind of like developing.
I thought that's what you meant by no one knows its species. Even though it's even a real bird because it's got the thing on its head. It's like not like natural for.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, it almost kind of has like a weird like third beak or something on its head.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, you're right.
Did you notice that before, or did I just point it out
No,
to you?
honestly, I've never noticed it until you pointed it out. But,
Wow.
I mean, that is the thing about it, is that it is designed to be very, very kind of like, it almost kind of hits the point of the uncanny valley a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's just, like, realistic enough to, like, appear to be a real species, but it's, like, it's elaborate enough, like, it's fantastical enough that it could just be an illusion, like, it could just be like something that the Imagineers made up.
And does its neck
either way,
extend when it squawks?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Either way, I think the bird on the stairs is definitely a very memorable set piece for the queue. And Sandy, we should also explain a little bit more about the calico part of the thing for folks that aren't aware. So would you like to explain the calico?
Sure. So basically, from what I remember, is this is right in that bottleneck area of near next to Tiki Room, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's like right at the end of that bottleneck area. So
It's like it's between Tiki Room and Indiana Jones.
yeah. Anyway, so you get in line, and from what I remember, you have a pretty clear visibility of where the boats are, and you can see people getting loaded up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see people getting loaded onto the boats. You think, oh, it's going to go really quick, really high capacity, so this should move really fast. And sometimes it does. I mean, I think at night it's probably pretty fast, or once it gets later.
And just pro tip, folks, night rides on the Jungle Cruise are way better.
Oh, they are. Oh my gosh.
It adds to the ambiance. It makes like the low lighting makes the animatronics look more realistic.
It does. It really does. Yeah, like if I was a little kid going on this tonight, I would have thought everything was real. I mean, the animatronics are still hold up. Anyways, so you get into this queue, you see people getting loaded up on the boats. You go around, and you spend some time at the ground floor. You walk up through this flight of stairs, and that's when you realize, oh wait, oh no, I've got a long way to go, man.
And of course, it's an not very far because
that's what the Calico Mine Ride does. It tricks you into thinking that the line is a lot shorter than it actually is.
there's like a little switchback in front of the Calico Mine Ride, and then once you get out of the switchback, you're like, okay, now I'm about to go on the ride. Oh wait, no, I've got all this other line.
And then Walt himself was fooled by that very thing.
He was.
So once you get to the stairs, it's already too late. Where you'd be probably wasting more time if you turned back than if you just kept going on. So it's like you're stuck in between a rock and a hard place. It's always worth it because Jungle Cruise is a fantastic ride. It's one of the best there. Probably one of the top 5 best Disneyland rides.
Of course, a lot of rewritability because of the different skippers.
Yeah, exactly.
But Sandy, this is Q the Podcast, and we don't talk about the rides on Q the Podcast, my friend. How dare you?
Oh, of course not. My apologies. Wait, what are rides? What are those?
Okay, Sandy, so once we reach the second story, there is a fabled room that I have actually never been in that contains, for my knowledge, a scorpion animatronic that I have actually never seen in person. Now, this extended room is above the Indiana Jones Fast Pass distribution area, so it's kind of like attached to the Jungle Cruise boathouse, but it's like kind of separated from the first story line. But Sandy, the things that you do pass through, regardless if you're on the first floor, you pass through what I like to call the bug room, where we see a bunch of bugs just like framed and on the walls. What do you make of that room?
Oh, that's right. They're like the dead bugs framed on the wall, right?
Yeah. Like there's butterflies and, you know, like grasshoppers and stuff in frames.
Yeah. So, my friend back in middle school, he did this a lot, and I would go to his house, and he had all this stuff very similar to what I saw in the queue, and so that's what it reminds me of. It's not exactly something that I know there are a lot of people that are grossed out by it, like, ooh, bugs, oh, they're real, oh. But it's, I don't know. To me, it doesn't really have that much of an effect on me. I'm pretty used to it, but it's still cool nonetheless, because it's just more proof that Disney likes to go that extra step in getting the actual props to make the scene really come alive.
What do you make of the skippers collecting bugs in their spare time, in the actual sense of the like building up the story of the Jungle Cruise River expeditions?
Well, I think it's brilliant, because I mean, where does this take place? Takes place in the Amazon or something like that.
In the 1930s, specifically.
Yeah, so in the jungle, I mean, there's a whole bunch of exotic bugs. Why would you not want to collect them? You know.
Also, importantly, there's not a lot of other stuff going on, I imagine.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Like, I imagine you maybe become kind of stir crazy and just kind of like take up collecting bugs as a hobby just to have something to pass the time, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, that's always been my headcanon, at least, just the fact that, like, these skippers are just, like, they're so desperate to make, like, that's kind of the joke of the Jungle Cruise, Sandy. That's kind of like the evergreen joke of the Jungle Cruise, is that these skippers have seen the same thing over and over and over and over, and their life is just endless monotony, but they have to have fun with it. All right. Also, in the second story, Sandy, how do you enjoy? Do you enjoy the views of Adventureland from the second story? Because I do feel like we get some nice views of the walkway and Big Thunder Mountain and all that.
Yes, I do. Because that's another great thing about the second story, is you get a nice view of everything else. Yeah, of Frontierland. You can see a little bit of Frontierland. You can see the rest of Adventureland. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Now, fun fact, Sandy, do you know about the glass elephant that you can see from the second story queue?
Glass elephant? No, I don't know about that.
Blue glass elephant?
Nope.
Alright, well, you can see this. You can see this from the ground level, too, but you can see the top of its head from the second story queue very prominently. And the story with the blue glass elephant is it used to be a big fixture of the Gibson Girl ice cream parlor. It used to be kind of like a centerpiece of one of the tables, and I remember it very vividly being there.
Okay.
And then they took it out of the ice cream parlor for a long time, and everyone was like, where's the blue elephant? Why'd they get rid of the blue elephant? And then the Jungle Cruise went down for refurbishment 1 year, and when it opened up, above the sign, lo and behold, was that blue elephant in a crate, shipped to the Jungle Cruise.
You know, I do remember hearing about this, or just seeing some kind of post about it. It does ring a bell. Yes, I'm getting a visual of it now, yeah. I do remember this.
I probably pointed it out to you on our last trip.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. It's a kind of a large piece, isn't it?
It is. It is pretty prominent.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know, I just like that connectivity between Disneyland, the fact that, like, Main Street, shipped out this glass elephant that they had in their ice cream parlor to Adventureland for its exotic qualities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like it all takes place in the same world around the same time, and it's like...
Exactly. All right, Sandy, we're wrapping up here. Really, this is probably going to be one of the quicker episodes of Q the Podcast. Because, honestly, like, this Q, there's a lot to it, but at the same time, it's, in grand Disneyland tradition, it's very packed in, you know what I mean? Like, it's get a lot accomplished in not a lot of space. So I guess heading back down to the docks, the only other thing I really want to talk about is we see the sign with the giraffe. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Okay, there's a sign with the giraffe that says basically like it's a warning to keep both feet on the dock at all times, like before you board the boat. And then we see the giraffe kind of like slipping into the water, like, oh no, I didn't keep both feet on the dock, and here I am slipping into the water.
Oh, it was one of those. Yeah. I think I can remember that.
And that giraffe is kind of the splitting image of Melvin from Madagascar, Sandy.
Is it? Let me look it up.
And every time I see it, I just can't unsee it. It's just like, this shouldn't be in here because this is a Disney park and Madagascar is a universal property. It just does not compute, Sandy.
I'm having trouble finding an image of it. I really want to see it now.
Also, I just really like the Tiki boathouse that's across the river from the main jungle boathouse.
There's a house across from the queue?
Yeah. It's basically kind of just this Polynesian style like tiki house, and then you see like a canoe docked in it. We assume it's from the headhunters.
Oh, okay.
It's a nice way to kind of like foreshadow the voyage and also show that maybe the Jungle Cruise territory is kind of maybe show that the Jungle Cruise company is maybe encroaching on indigenous people's territory a little bit. You know, a little subtle foreshadowing for the plot.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Alright, let's see.
What do you think of the new Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie coming out?
We need to pad somehow, right?
Well, we're on the topic of the Jungle Cruise. Might as well touch on this a little bit.
Yeah, I think The Rock is a decent choice to helm a movie like this. I do. I'm relatively excited for it, I gotta say. I think they can deliver a good product out of it, but at the same time, if it's sort of a mess, I wouldn't be surprised. Really, with a movie like The Jungle Cruise, Sandy, it all comes down to the script. Like, they really gotta hit the comedy on this one. You know what I mean? Because I am not about turning the Jungle Cruise into, like, a serious, like, action adventure. Like, screw that noise. So Jungle Cruise needs to be a slapstick comedy with action adventure elements. Like, that's what I'm all about. I want to see the Jungle Cruise movie be as cheesy as possible.
You know, it's hard for me to unsee, like, if The Rock is playing a character in the movie, like, I cannot not see him as The Rock. Like, he's just playing himself, you know?
I get that.
And it's like, okay, now he's playing...
Actually saw a Facebook meme that was, like, The Rock in, like, let's see, it was, like, The Rock in Jumanji, The Rock in, The Rock in Rampage, and then The Rock in, like, I don't know, one of his early movies, and it was like, believe it or not, this, like, all three of these images are from different movies, and they look identical, Sandy.
Well,
and he's always got, like, that intense expression on his face.
Right. Well, it's like now, it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and he's playing a boat skipper. Just give him a little outfit, and you got this huge guy in this little outfit. It's like, yeah, because skippers like that, they definitely bench press like 565 pounds. Yeah, that's right.
Sandy.
What?
Who would you cast as a skipper, out of curiosity?
Okay, alright. I'm not convinced, just from looking at the images online, I could be completely wrong, but I'm not convinced that he doesn't make a convincing skipper. Now, if you ask me who would make a convincing skipper, I always think of Quint from Jaws, because he's not like the huge buff, he's not like The Rock or Arnold, or he's not the huge buff guy who's going to take control of things. You know, he's a grizzled old man who's like, he's a badass, but he's still got his weak points. Mm-hmm. So it's not like this unstoppable force of nature like The Rock is, or the way he plays all his characters in the movies, but it's like you got to give him some element of some kind of weakness, or else it's just difficult to connect. That's how I feel. I think
Bill Hader would have been the perfect skipper.
No, that's a good option, and that would be a good choice, I think. I don't know. It all comes down to just the character, and if The Rock can play the character right, I mean the way I feel it is right, then I think it'll be that's one of the many elements that makes an enjoyable movie.
But I mean, that's the problem with The Rock, as we already illustrated, is that The Rock doesn't play characters as much as he plays different riffs on The Rock.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to get here, but who knows? We could be wrong.
We'll see. Alright, well, Sandy, I think because we've divulged into a discussion on the movie, I think that's about it for our conversation about the Q. I think we got a good amount of stuff out of this. What do you say?
I think so, yeah.
Alright, any final thoughts about the Disneyland queue, Sandy?
No. No final thoughts.
Really? Nothing? Come on, give me something, man. Give me something. Pull it from your heart.
If you're gonna go on the Jungle Cruise, get a nice, big, tall cup of Dole Whip first. If it's a hot, sunny day and your line's long, just trust me, you're not going to regret it.
I concur. Yeah, folks, I think the Jungle Cruise is a queue that's a great example of just kind of like setting the mood with the Albert Awol score, and also just kind of like the little details, like the pictures, the notes, the envelopes addressed to different skippers, the guest book. All that just goes a long way towards setting the scene, and honestly, Sandy, we don't really have time to get into the Jingle Cruise, and the Jingle Cruise might be kind of on its way out anyways, but I remember the Jingle Cruise did an even better job of kind of setting the stage, because the idea with the Jingle Cruise was that the skippers were going to be kind of picking up the presents from Santa that he had dropped scattered around the jungle, and we kind of got like bits and pieces of that story in the queue. So who knows, maybe we'll have to do the Jingle Cruise queue for Christmas at some point during the holiday season in December. But for right now, Sandy, I think this has been a very productive podcast. Like I said, I definitely think that Albert Awol kind of steals the show here. I feel like he is kind of like the thematic connective tissue that really pushes everything together and in place. And I think that the queue is all the better for having him in there. All right, Sandy, would you like to know what's next on Q the Podcast?
Sure. What?
Well, I know this is probably your first flight, and it's mine, too. That's right, we're talking about Star Tours! Now, folks, importantly, we're going to be mostly talking about Star Tours The Adventures Continue, the second iteration of Star Tours in that queue. But, I mean, we're going to definitely have some nostalgia for the original queue, for the original Star Tours. We're going to be kind of breaking that one down, but mainly just because there's a lot more footage out there for the Adventures Continue, we're going to be mostly focused on that one. Alright, Sandy, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is a ton of fun.
Alright. And folks, don't forget to queue up for the next installment of Q the Podcast.
Wow! It's just like at Disneyland.
Not anymore, I'm afraid.
What?
At Disneyland, these sky buckets, they are gone, kaput. And that ride where they shrink you down tiny, nicht.
Oh, no. Well, at least they still have those little motorboats. No! Not the boats! My good friend Freakazoid. I came as soon as I got your letter.
Ah, yes. I'm afraid we have a situation. You have seen the cloud.
How bad is it?
The fate of mankind hangs in the balance.
It's awful. Terrible.
Don't worry, my friend. We will figure out something.
No, not that. I was just thinking about that boat ride at Disneyland.
Yes, I know. It's gone.
Why?
There, I understand your pain, but you will see, the Imagineers at Disney will come up with something even better, yeah? Now come, we have much work to do.
Professor, the cloud, it's moving.
Widen the angle. It's headed right for him.
Professor, I've just heard the boat ride at Disneyland is gone.
Why?